Hi, it's Orit Krug, and today we are talking about why relationships fail and three simple strategies to make sure that yours doesn't. So, most people think that relationships fail because of incompatibility. But unless you and your partner have wildly different moral values, incompatibility is not usually a reason why so many relationships fail. And what really is happening is that either one or more of the partners in a relationship is struggling with unresolved past trauma. And having unresolved past trauma creates all sorts of really difficult emotional and relationship issues that it's really hard to break. It's really hard to just kind of like push to the side because trauma gets so lodged and stored deeply inside our nervous systems, our bodies, and our belief systems about what will happen to us if we really become intimate and close to a partner. So most people in this world have experienced trauma in their lives one time or another. It's not always obvious as an incident of sexual assault or an abusive relationship. Trauma can also happen in the sneakiest ways, like if you're a child of seven siblings, right? And you didn't really get the emotional attention that you needed because there were just so many kids to take care of. Trauma can also happen if you grow up in a perfectly loving home and everything was fine, but then in school you got bullied, and that became traumatic for you as well. If you are having consistent relationship problems, if you are going through issues where you've always had relationships fail, and even though you're in a healthy relationship now, it feels like it's either about to fail or you can't stop sabotaging it, you can be pretty sure that you experienced trauma in the past, even if you're not sure what it is, because trauma is just the most underlying reason why relationships can't sustain. So let's talk a little bit more about exactly about how unresolved trauma impacts our ability to be in relationships. So, first of all, it's important to know that trauma creates a major impact on your nervous system functioning. And if you're new to what the nervous system is and does, the most basic way that I can say it is that you can think of your nervous system as your inner alarm system. It alerts you, it alarms you when there's danger in your environment, when you might enter a situation where you're going to get hurt. And as humans, we evolved on relying on our nervous systems to keep us alive. You know, we used to be, our ancestors were out in the wild and we faced predators. It was so helpful to get that fight or flight response, to run away from a predator or to fight or to freeze in order to save our lives. And we still carry the same nervous system functioning today, even though we live in a civilized way. But when you experience trauma, that inner alarm system is completely dysfunctional. And things that used to feel safe or that generally feel safe to other people feel really threatening and scary to you. And as much as your mind tells you that, oh, no, this is fine, this is safe, I'm not actually going to get hurt, you can't outspeak or you can't trick your survival system that's saying it's dangerous. And so it's kind of like if you have an alarm system for your home, it goes off. It's like that annoying broken alarm system that goes off even when there's no threat of an intruder. It just keeps going off. That's what's happening in your nervous system when you have unresolved trauma. And so your partner could text you a little bit later than they were supposed to, or later than you wanted them to, or they might have a certain look on their face and they might forget to pick you up something from the grocery store even though you asked a few times. Like little things that happen in normal healthy relationships that are human error, but that feel like, oh my god, I'm going to get hurt again, I'm going to get abused, I'm going to get abandoned, I'm going to get neglected. Like that's all happening within a matter of seconds in your nervous system. So all of these stories that go on within a matter of milliseconds in your nervous system and your body about how you're going to be left, or that your partner is not good enough for you, or that you aren't good enough for your partner, these stories aren't true, but they feel really real inside your entire being. And that's why past trauma makes relationships feel so hard, to the point where it's just easier to not be in one. And so inevitably your relationships fail. This is actually what one of my former clients said before she did my Let Love In program. Kim said that she was this close to leaving her relationship because the relationship anxiety was so bad and was so hard to deal with, to feel, that she just was just ready to leave her relationship just to relieve that anxiety. But fortunately, she did my Let Love In program, and we healed her trauma, and all of her anxiety was gone. And she was like, wow, I can't believe I almost ruined that relationship, because this is my guy, and we have such an amazing relationship now that all my anxiety is not intruding our connection. And relationships really can be easy. They can be easy and smooth and give you such deep connection and joy. And if yours isn't right now, it doesn't mean that you're damaged goods. It doesn't mean that your relationship is failing. But let's talk a little bit more about how to kind of pinpoint if your relationship is failing. So if you are experiencing, conflict more than usual, or what often happens is, you have a period where things are really good and you're in flow and you're feeling really good with your partner, and then bam, everything falls apart. You have a disagreement and it all explodes and you're reacting and things kind of get ugly. Even like that happens when there's unresolved trauma. And it's okay if this happens once in a while. I healed my trauma 8 years ago, and my husband and I have an amazing, healthy relationship. But there are just sometimes in life, we just had a baby, we moved houses. There's sometimes in life that are more stressful, and we might snap at each other a little bit more. It's okay if it happens once in a while. And it's also okay if it happens, but it's not like drawn out, all out war. Right? You still have respect there on some level. You still have love there. And it's not like a huge battle of just trying to hurt each other the most. If that's happening for you, that's a sign that unresolved trauma is impacting your relationship. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship is failing. So a lot of people will assume that their relationship is done. It's pretty much on the edge of done, because they've even gone to couples counseling, relationship therapy, conflict resolution, like all sorts of things. And because those things didn't help them, they just kind of think, well, I guess we're not meant to be. I guess we're not compatible. And that's so rough, because sometimes that can be true, but other times it's not the truth at all. It's just that these more traditional and even some like a lot of alternative relationship couples work does not access the root of your issues and patterns enough to change them. You can go as far as changing the exact script of how you talk to each other. But if your body language and your nonverbal communication don't change, then you're probably still communicating very aggressively, even if your tone is really much nicer. You can present with a nicer, calmer tone, and your body is still saying, don't fuck with me, right? So most of these techniques, they don't access, and they don't really reveal, and they don't access or have the ability to change more deeply what's going on for each of you and both of you. So how you're getting triggered individually, and how your triggers are creating this perfect storm of frustration and anger and hurt. So I have 3 suggestions for you to try with your partner before you call it quits. Okay. So these are simple strategies that everyone can try. And you just got to put a little bit of time into it, and it'll take some practice. So the first strategy is to communicate with each other without words first. So I'll explain this a little bit more, but first let me just say that I'm suggesting this as like the most important strategy to try, because one of the reasons that couples get so stuck in the same patterns is because they're running the same scripts over and over again. They're approaching each other and connecting from the mind and remaining disconnected from their bodies. And this is so important because as human beings, we are so good at, honestly, we're so good at bullshitting from our minds. We can choose the exact words we want to say. We can filter out the words we don't want to say. And no matter how much mindset work you've done, no matter how much you've talked about this in couples counseling, there will always be a level of defensiveness and filtering when you approach each other from the mind. But when you approach each other from the body and movement, it immediately shifts the way that you connect. So connecting from the body, connecting through nonverbal means will change the way you see each other. And you can see each other so much more clearly without the filler and the same scripts of words over and over again. This strategy actually completely transformed two of my clients, Gina and Sam, who have been together for 6 years. It completely transformed their relationship, because when we were going through my couples program, which is called Deeper Love, connecting through the body and through movement first was revolutionary for them, because they were really good at talking about their issues and coming together and discussing, but things didn't really shift for them until they started doing my program and started connecting through their bodies first. And it changed so much for them that they then made this their go-to baseline of, all right, every day, maybe not every day, I think they tried every day, but several times a week, as much as we can, we're going to connect just through movement and through body first before we even speak. And you don't have to be in my couples therapy program to try this, but what you can do is just make some kind of commitment, some kind of practical commitment. So when we first wake up, if you wake up at the same time, we're not going to speak, but we're going to just start mirroring each other. And if you want tips on how to mirror each other, I have a link in the blog, in the text of this blog, that shows you how you can do that. Or maybe you don't wake up at the same time, but after work, at some point at the end of the day, you meet. And when you meet for the first time, when you reconnect for the first time, make a commitment not to use words, but to just use your body to communicate for the first 3 minutes. Try that out and see how much that shifts already your connection and interactions. The second strategy is to reposition your bodies, especially when you're having a conversation, a difficult conversation, or something that's, a little bit more vulnerable. You may not realize it, but you're probably in the same pattern of how you position your bodies when you speak to each other. One of you might be used to standing up while the other one sits down, and that can create a power differential. You might stand really close to each other or really far away. My client, Bridget, who did my Let Love In program, one of the things that helped her stop freezing up with her husband whenever they were talking about something serious was that she made an intentional choice to have a serious conversation in the kitchen across from their kitchen island. So there was this physical barrier between them, which helped her calm down her nervous system until she developed her own inner ability to calm down when they were having a serious conversation. And it just that physical barrier of the kitchen island, even though her husband was never abusive or never hurt her in any abusive way, she just had, because of her past trauma, she had this belief that he would. So having that physical barrier helped her stay safe and start practicing communicating a different way and being able to stay present and connected through conflict. So see what might help you. Sometimes it helps my clients talk in the car. So they're sitting side by side instead of facing directly each other. Maybe it helps if you're both sitting. Maybe it helps if you both sit on the floor to feel more grounded. Try something different and it will shift things for you. And then my third and last strategy is to change up the scenery. So if you're going to have a conversation that's going to be difficult, go outside and walk together, right? Walking side by side. Again, this overlaps with number 2. Instead of facing each other directly, you're walking side by side and you're outside. And, just for a lot of us, being outside can really calm us down. Or if you have to share something vulnerable, you can dim the lights, turn on some candles, make it something that feels more like soothing and gentle for you so that you can feel as safe as possible bringing up this vulnerable subject. Whatever you do, do not bring up anything when you are hangry. That is always a recipe for disaster. As rewired and as healed as I am, if we're having a conversation when I'm hungry, aka hangry, it's not going to turn out well. So be also really conscious of when you're having these conversations. Now, the most important factor in preventing your relationship from failing is to make sure that your nervous system is rewired enough to apply these strategies. These are simple strategies to try, but if you're so triggered and so reactive that you can't even put these strategies into practice, then it's not going to change anything. So if you need a little bit more help in that department, if you need to understand how to finally rewire your nervous system so that you can choose your response and be in command of what you say and do instead of reacting and getting hijacked by your nervous system, then sign up for my free Rewired for Love training. This training will show you the neurophysiology of how trauma gets stored in your body, how to release it from your body, and create new healthy relationship patterns that have you letting in deep, connected, satisfying love from your partner. Even if you've never felt that before in any relationship, it is possible for you. And the information that I share in this free training can really help you save your relationship from failing. So you can, depending on where you're watching, you can go to the side, above or below, click on the link to sign up for my free training. And I cannot wait to help you learn how to finally let love in. Bye.